much of your body is your own? Have you ever wondered what we're made up of? Well, a lot of people have. So it's just as well that the BBC has offered an online service to tell us exactly that. Just by entering your date of birth, sex, weight and height, the site will return back lots of interesting data that you might not have considered before. For example, when using the tool to bring back information on celebrities, it turns out that Justin Bieber has fewer cells in his brain than his liver, which I guess isn't too difficult to believe. Or believe. What's more amazing is that Bill Gates' body is actually worth less than $2,000, rather than the 100+ billion of his net worth, and that Mark Zuckerberg's thought to own 800 megabytes of data within him, as opposed to the massive server farms that power Facebook on a daily basis. The tool brings back this kind of data and more once you enter your details, so be prepared to find out how many fat, blood, skin and brain cells you have, the size and weight of your internal organs. So what about the average person? What are they made up of? We use the tool, inputting the average person's details with a height of 5 foot 4 inches, a weight of 136 pounds, and the average worldwide age of about 30. Want to know what we got back in return? Before we find out, just a nudge to like this video and also to subscribe to our channel for more great videos just like this one. But for now, let's look at how much of our body is our own. First off, let's look at how valuable we are. So this means what elements that make us up can be sold and which significant materials are we made up of. Unsurprisingly, oxygen is the main element that exists within us. 61% of the average person is made up of this essential element. Oxygen exists in our bodies mainly in the form of water, and it represents 89% of water weight. Unfortunately, despite how essential it is, it's not worth a great deal. Only $114. Where we stand to earn some decent money is from hydrogen. Only 10% of us is hydrogen, but the value of this element is significant. So you could stand to sell off $740 worth of it, of course if you were able to do so without dying, which you wouldn't. On top of these two is a usual suspect, carbon. If you've seen enough Breaking Bad, then you'll know that this exists in pretty much everything, and 23% of us, or £31, is down to this. This will fetch $338, which really puts into perspective how valuable hydrogen is. Another very valuable element is phosphorus. With only 1.5 pounds in the average person, you might think that this would be pretty worthless, but in fact, that's $206 worth. Remember, oxygen makes up 61% of us and is worth less than that. The other key ingredients that make us up are nitrogen, calcium and potassium, which make up 3, 1 and 0.2% of us respectively. Add all of these elements up, including several others, so insignificant it's not worth mentioning, and you've got a total value of $1,801. So the average person is actually worth around the same as Bill Gates. Who knew? What about the trace elements that we haven't spoken about? The ones you really have to go searching for? Well, there is a little bit of arsenic in all of us. Thankfully, you'd need 4,596 average people to make up an ounce, but considering it only takes a fraction of that to kill you, it shows how delicate our bodies are. Away from toxic materials now and onto valuable ones. Gold is also present in our bodies, but don't get too excited. You'd need 153,186 average people to make an ounce. However, we are more valuable than this suggests. With the elements in our body, the phosphorus that we talked about earlier, with potassium, sodium, chlorine, and iron, we could make 3.4 million matches. Looking at all this on an atomic level, we contain a huge number of atoms. The average person contains 6.2 octillion, or 6.2 1,000 trillion. Just to put that into perspective, all the stars in the universe are made up of 100 octillion atoms. So we really are dense beings in more ways than one. But we could be even more dense. If you compressed all of our atoms free of empty space, then you'd be left with our average person being the size of a single red blood cell. So what else can we count in the average body? Well, 21.8 trillion red blood cells to start with, which makes up a huge percentage of our overall count of cells at 30.8 trillion. If you laid those red blood cells end to end, it would travel over 108,000 miles. What about our data? This is stored in our DNA and clocks an impressive 800 megabytes. Putting that into perspective, everything we would need to remember our genetic code could be stored onto most USB drives. We clock in at less data than an elephant, but more than cats and dogs, presumably because elephants need the extra memory to never forget. The average person has 5 million hair follicles with only 120,000 on the scalp, which starts to explain how we were descended from apes. Along for the journey on our bodies are 100 trillion microbes, weighing almost as much as the average brain, which shows how much of us isn't really us at all. Looking at the size of us now, and most comes from body fat, muscle, organs and bones, as you might expect. Fat and organs make up close to a hefty 50 pounds and muscle 39.2, but obviously this will fluctuate depending on how muscular you are. 61% of the average person is water, which explains some of the oxygen seen earlier. That's 1,333 fluid ounces. And speaking of water, our blood is the most watery thing at 83%. H2O is closely followed, surprisingly, by the skin at 72%. If we were to start taking out the compact organs in our body, we'd realise just how compact they are. With the average person standing at 64 inches, it's amazing that the small intestine would easily eclipse us at 90 inches, and the large intestine is impressive too, at 45 inches. Lungs take up a lot of space in the body and are constantly changing. When breathing in, the average person's lungs are at 37.4 fluid ounces. Breathing out, they are at 193.1 fluid ounces, which may seem big, but nothing in comparison to the record of over 400 fluid ounces for the largest fully inflated lungs. Our hearts constantly beat, and we have an average accumulated count of 1.1 billion ticks up until we're 30. Our hair is constantly growing too, and the average length of head hair up to this point stands at 11 feet 8 inches, with armpit hair lagging behind at 6 feet, which is a terrifying prospect in itself, as well as the fact that our middle fingernail has grown 3 feet 3 inches in the average 30-something's lifetime. Ugh. So all in all, we're pretty fascinating, if disgusting, creatures, with lots of hidden secrets under our skin. Which of these facts did you find the most interesting? Do you know any more you can share? Why not let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, give us a like. If you want to see more top quality videos just like this one, be sure to hit that subscribe button and you'll get the latest straight to your mailbox. Thanks for watching.